Hey students, my name is Karen Sma and I've been a staff member here for CAD small groups for the last 4 years. I have the privilege of working with the seniors this year. Today I wanted to talk with you a little bit about grief. It's something that's been on my mind and my heart for like the last several weeks, and I've talked to quite a few people about it and it seems to be resonating with them. So I wanted to share this with you today. So we've all been experiencing a loss of something, whether it's a loss of a job or a loss of health or especially with the seniors, gosh, there's so much loss that you guys are going through right now. You don't have, the ability to take your senior walk, go take those senior pictures with your friends, say goodbye to your classmates, like you really wanted to. We just really feel for you guys and what you're going through right now. And you might not really understand that what you're going through is called grief. There's a lot of different stages of grief, and I wanted to talk with you about that today. When we experience loss or grief, it can be a little loss or it can be a big loss, a little trauma or a big trauma. But nonetheless, no matter if it's big or small, we all go through these stages of grief. The first stage of grief is denial. So if some of you were like saying, oh yeah, it's no big deal, like what's going on, like this is gonna pass, like no biggie, I can still see my friends and whatever, that could be a stage of grief called denial. The next one is anger. So if you've been finding yourself blaming other people, blaming your parents, blaming the school, trying to, vent out that way, discharging pain, by being angry and you don't really understand what's going on there, or you think you do, but you're angry, that's a stage of grief. And then there's this other interesting piece called bargaining. So it's like, if I do this, then this will happen. So that's an interesting piece that I found myself actually doing, in fact, just yesterday. Depression is another stage of grief. So maybe you're really tired. Maybe you just don't have any motivation. You find yourself just feeling helpless or sad. That's depression. That's a stage of grief. And then there's acceptance. When you finally get to that place of like, okay, like this is the new norm, this is what's happening and I'm moving on, from here. That's another stage of grief. And the interesting thing about grief and all of these stages of grief is that they're not linear. So there might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you might find yourself like depressed initially, like I'm just tired, I'm just gonna stay in bed. And then you're angry, and then suddenly you're accepting it, but then you find yourself maybe back into denial again. So there's no like smooth line here with grief. You can, go one way and back the other way. And so it's really confusing to get through grief. So for me, I just became a grandmother on March 3rd. And so this was just when this was all beginning to hit. And so it was really difficult for me not being able to really connect with my new grandson. And so I've been grieving that, like so sad. Like initially I was just depressed and I was just kind of finding myself despondent, not wanting to talk with anybody. And I was just depressed over not being able to really like hold my grandson. We've been waiting for this for so long. Love on him, love my kids, help them out more and stuff. Just not been able to do that. So, because, we're wanting his immunity to get strong and we don't want to take any chances and stuff with that. So we've all had social distancing from Brady. And so anyway, so yesterday I wanted to take a walk. So we've done some social distancing walks with my grandson and my son. And that's been kind of nice. We've done a few of those. So I was thinking to myself yesterday, well, I think that we're starting to relax some of these social distancing things a little bit. So here I am in this bargaining, right? So I think we're kind of relaxing on this a little bit. So I'm gonna call Daniel and I'm gonna see like, hey, do you wanna go for a walk? And maybe I can get a little closer to Brady, right? So that was me bargaining in my head. And guess what? I was shut down. like it didn't happen. And my son was so sweet. He actually didn't know that I was in the bargaining phase of my grief. He just was like, oh, Mom wants to go for a walk with us, and wasn't able to do that and whatever. And then I got angry. I was angry that I'm like, you know, I should be able to do this. And so there I was back in anger again. And, you know, I'm just noticing like what I'm going through with all of this. And then of course I get to that place of acceptance and I'm like, okay, like this is what's going on and stuff. But so I'm kind of guessing that this is happening with you guys too. So maybe, you know, you're having some conflict with your parents. Maybe, you know, you're just not connecting with them. You're angry, you're frustrated, you're tired. Maybe, you know, they're going through their own grief too. So just want to put that out there to you guys to be mindful of that and to be really gentle with each other as we're going through this process of grieving. And then to ask yourself, like, Lord, where am I at, you know, in this stage of grieving, and where do you want me to get to? Something that's really important that we get to in our stage of grieving is finding meaning and finding purpose to what we're going through. So that's actually a sixth stage of grieving that we don't really talk about too much, is this meaning. Like, what is the purpose of this? So you guys, this is in closing here, I just wanted to tell you that, you know, what we're going through right now has never happened before in my generation, your generation. So this is something that is pretty catastrophic worldwide. And we have this really crazy opportunity to press into this and find out, you know, what is the meaning for us? What is the Lord speaking to us? What opportunities do we have for growth? And go ahead and embrace that grieving process, because it's part of your growth. So don't be afraid of it. Don't run away from it. Just recognize it and lift it up to the Lord and ask Him, you know, what do you want me to get from this? And how can I grow? And I wanted to say that to the degree that you're willing to go through suffering and grieving, to that same degree, you're going to experience joy. So the more that we escape from suffering, the more that we escape from grieving, you know, to that level, we're going to experience joy. So joy really is something that's so much deeper than happiness, and it comes from this place of empathy and really understanding like the fullness of our relationship with the Lord, and that He is there for us always. And, you know, remember, you guys, that Jesus was a man of suffering, and He's familiar with everything that we're going through right now. He is totally acquainted with the sorrow that we're feeling, the anger that we're feeling, the frustration that we're feeling. So remember that He is there for you, and we're here for you too. So reach out to your small group leaders, keep getting yourselves plugged in, and know that we're praying for you. So God bless you. Bye.